Welcome to the channel. Thank you everyone for tuning in. So today we're looking at the brand new Clemence Munro. Those that follow my Instagram will see how much I've been raving about this watch recently. I actually reached out to Clemence following one of the posts on the Munro. Instantly I saw the potential of this watch. The pictures showed me what I needed to see, particularly the case finish and the bracelet finish on offer. Now once this watch arrived, I was actually wearing the CW C63 39mm GMT, and as soon as I took the Clemence out of the box, something about it made me want to put it next to the CW. The finishing looked so on par, and it's something when I mentioned to the brand owner on receipt of the item, they said yes, CW was definitely the yardstick that they had in mind when creating this watch. So I've had this Munro roughly for about a week, and it has been stuck to my wrist, and it's the first watch where I actually followed up with a conversation with the actual brand, Tom, the brand owner, because I just had to know the mindset behind this watch and the effort involved. For under £600 you can get what I think is the best purpose built and finished field watch, but if you order on the 17th of October you can get it on the bracelet for just £525, and there is no other option but to get it on the bracelet once you see and feel how good this is. Now, my purpose of the call with Tom was to understand the kind of development that went into this watch, and especially the kind of lessons learned from the previous diver, the Photic, which I actually didn't get to see in hand. Now, what I really respect and admire about the brand and about Tom and this particular watch is just the huge jump they made from the Photic to this, which by the way was on the first attempt, this prototype which I have in hand, dealing with extremely fine tolerances when designing this, down to 0.005, which is extremely precise. So let's cover this watch in all its glory, and I'm hoping to point out and explain a lot of the smaller details which pictures can't tell you, but all together help make this watch look and feel so incredible. Spec wise, it's perfectly within the expectation for the sub £600 watch category. It has sapphire crystal, full stainless steel case construction, an on the fly adjustment clasp, 150 meters of water resistance, and it houses the Miyota dateless 9000 series caliber, which as you guys know is a high beat 28,800 vibrations per hour movement, and in my experience it is very accurate and it consistently performs. Now the first selling point of this watch is going to be the dimensions. They've got them so right, perfect in my opinion. It's a balanced 37.5mm at the case, and incredible sub 10mm thickness, and a very compact lug to lug of just 45mm, unaffected by the bracelet due to the female end links, and a well spread out weight of 130 grams. Everything about this watch is purpose built and tested. For example, now let's look at the crown first and foremost. In hand, I instantly felt this was done on purpose. The sizing is a little off, it looks a little bit bigger in proportion to the watch slightly, but it's noticeable because it's so user friendly. Now what prompted this was the brand owner attempting to use the crown on the Photic while completing a mountaineering course in the Scottish Highlands, where this watch and model Munro takes its inspiration from. The smaller crown on the Photic wasn't adequately sized to use when using gloves, so they focused on the crown size. And you find when you set the time that the size is perfect. It's measuring in at a very healthy 7.5mm. But to counter the size, they kept the profile slim, so it still sits close to the case. And it's smaller features similar to this that on the whole watch, which is what makes it so purpose built and exceptional in my view. Now the second noticeable thing is the feel in hand, and when asked, Tom described the process of actually paying attention to how the watch feels, how it wore on wrist, all the sounds it gave off, so a proper touch and feel test which so many brands miss out on. So as a result, the case finish is perfectly smooth, soft satinized brushing on the sides of the case, a polished bevel highlight along the sides extending down to the lugs, and you've also got a large bevel along the bottom of the case, which is so important in achieving a totally smooth and comfortably wearing case. Now the case back is what gives this watch its incredible 10mm thickness. It's a slimline case back, screw down of course, specs lasered onto the back end, but it also has a large center section for any personalization you may want. Now when seeing the pictures, I was considering making the purchase, which is why with this particular watch I made the effort of reaching out to Clemence, to having the conversation with Tom, and it meant that I paid attention to every aspect of this watch while reviewing it, turning it literally upside down and thoroughly checking out. Now something which I noticed which put a smile on my face, and it may not be significant to anyone else, but it was to me, is the profile of that top hat sapphire crystal. Now you have to pay attention to the fit and finish. It's perfectly matched with the slope of the bezel, and that's not an easy thing to do. And now, because I know that, just how bespoke this crystal is, it made me happy and confident in this watch. As I said, it's very well thought out. The bezel is well proportioned. It's got the slimmest line of polishing around the inner circumference, followed by a crisp transition into circular satin brushing on the A face of that slope, and then a highly polished bevel before finally switching to a brushed circular finish towards the bottom. That's a lot of work gone just into a bezel, and this is the level of workmanship on offer here. Now they've given us a very traditional field watch dial, solid color choices. Particularly love the Ridgeway color, which is a combination of all the colors available. It's also worth noting that the black and the Ridgeway do have a very subtle vertically brushed finish. There is also a fully loomed white dial available, which is great for loom lovers everywhere. The loom on the applied hour markers and hands is impressive. It's very bright and it does last a very long time. The markers are 3D applied and the hands are chamfered slightly and have a very crisp finish. Now I did stress to Clemence to ensure they retain that unique hour hand, as it's a great signature to have on their watches going forward. The logo is printed, crisp, and the logo above the 6 is particularly interesting. Now it's something I questioned, and Clemence actually wants to move away from the norm of having the water resistance on the bottom and instead made a logo specific to the Munro. Now the logo is actually a nod to the Flieger arrow, but it's designed to incorporate the mountains, which was an inspiration behind the watch, which I think is actually quite cool. The dial also features discrete accented minute markers of the 12, 3, 6 and 9. On the yellow dial it's green, and on the black you have the use of red markers, and which adds a nice bit of colour. Now the hands are proportionate and the length is accurate too. The minute and the seconds hand skim that minute track. Now something to note around the crystal and dial combination. You get a very unique perspective when looking directly at the watch. At the centre of the watch, the dial and the crystal appear to be very close, giving you great clarity, but the outer edge of the dial is actually domed. And when combined with a box crystal, it creates the appearance of distance at the outer edge, and it's very cool to look at, but for me it shows again the attention to detail paid here. Now let's go to the most amazing aspect of this watch, the bracelet. Let's just listen to it first. Notice the distinct clacking sound, signifying the density of the steel. Usually you get a jingle or a rattle, or you get the squeak of the screw-in links on even the most premium bracelets. But this sounds different and tells you how good the bracelet really is. It's the best 3-link bracelet available on and above this price point. It's better than Christopher Ward, who are better than a lot of brands at their price point already. Now it's got so many features. Female end links, quick release bars, curved links to give you that amazing articulation, and there's more. The bracelet features double articulating links, which allows you to do this to the bracelet, completely fold all the links over, and at which point you'll see the completely beveled links. Thick bevels which make it unbelievably smooth in hand and on wrist. Satin brush throughout, the polished bevels and silky smooth feel in hand. It is paired with the off-the-shelf fold-over clasp with milled internals and on-the-fly adjustment, which works really well. Now the clasp was the only part of the watch which was not designed inclusive of the watch, but it's a great addition. A field watch with the on-the-fly adjustment, I think people will welcome that. Now the clasp is softly brushed with the Clemence logo present, and even the pushers have beveled edges, and you also get 2/3 links included for that perfect adjustment. Now genuinely I have gelled with this watch so well over the past few days of owning it. On wrist it's a treat to wear. It hugs the wrist so well, and for the watch wearers out there, there's nothing better than the sheer joy of wearing a superbly manufactured case and bracelet. The dome crystal combined with the high quality brushing and the polished bevels really do set this field watch apart from the competition. I don't think there is anything like this comparable to the price point, and that's the truth. Okay, so were there any points which were not that great, or is it a 10/10 watch? So a couple of things which I also informed Tom about on our call, and he agreed and acknowledged all of them. Okay, telling me that he is indeed in tune with this watch and he knows it really well. Now the first thing I noticed was the movement noise. We all know the Miyota has a noisy rotor, and the thickness of this watch means you do hear it a little bit more. But what would you rather have? A thicker case back to insulate the sound, or something which is compact and wears great. I would rather have wearability over sand deadening, and you only notice it when you make sudden jerky movements with your wrist, so some of you guys may end up hearing this more than others. The other issue I felt was the threading on the crown. It is a little gritty, and given the level of finishing of the watch, I'd like it smoother, but thankfully though, this was already picked up by Tom and the team, and in the production version, this will be addressed. They will also add a deeper engraving to the case back, which didn't bother me, but it's something they've picked up on, and this is it. There is nothing else, even minor, that is an issue. The last thing is peace of mind. Even with the warranty on offer, it's important to know that Clemence have a highly skilled team of watchmakers with extremely stringent QC controls in place, rivaling top-end Swiss watchmakers. Now, with all the above, and clearly demonstrated, this is what made me confirm my purchase with Clemence on the Munro, and I decided to go with the black dial with that subtle vertical brushing. A timeless colorway, but I will have to wait, just like everyone else, until March 24th. This is probably the hardest part of buying this watch. You need to wait under 5 months for the first fulfillment. So I'll be making sure I buy this watch during the first 48 hours on the release on the 17th October. And don't worry, they have guaranteed watches for everyone ordering in those 48 hours. So feel free to check out Clemence Munro, one of the most significant releases of a micro brand, priced at more than competitive price, with finishing that can rival watches twice its value. Very, very easily. So let me know your thoughts below, guys. Thank you all as always for tuning in, and I will see you on the next video.